mysterious death of Nero's mom, Agrippina the Younger. On this date, March 23rd, 59 AD, Agrippina the Younger died. How she died, nobody really knows, but three different versions were documented by Roman historians. She was one of the most remarkable women of the Roman Empire. Agrippina was also known as a Black Widow, who allegedly killed 12 people, husbands, political enemies, and foes who stood in her way to become empress or enemies of her young son, Nero. Agrippina was the daughter of Roman general Germanicus and Agrippina the Elder, who was the daughter of Rome's first emperor, Augustus's only biological child, Julia the Elder. Agrippina had three older brothers, Nero, Drusus, and Caligula, and her younger sisters, Julia Drusilla and Julia Livia. Her large family would play a huge part in the future of the Roman Empire. Agrippina was born and lived in Germany, stationed with her family until she was a toddler. Caligula and her were sent to Rome to live with her maternal grandmother. Her father Germanicus, the designated heir of Roman Emperor Tiberius, who was also his uncle, whom he adopted on orders from Augustus, was poisoned in 19 AD. Rumor had it that Tiberius had him murdered because of his rising popularity and jealous of his military victories. In fear that her family would be next, Agrippina's mother, her great-grandmother Livia, and her great-grandmother Antonia Minor, the daughter of Mark Antony, formed a protective circle around her and Caligula to make sure that he would become the next emperor. Agrippina, on 28 AD, was ordered by the Emperor Tiberius at the age of 13 to marry Domitius, a slovenly drunkard of a man, who was also her first cousin, who was either in his late 30s or early 40s at the time of their marriage. A known womanizer, gambler, and swindler, he would later become the father of Nero. March 16, 37 AD, Emperor Tiberius died at the age of 77 under mysterious circumstances, and Caligula was hailed as the new Caesar. Around the same time, Agrippina became pregnant with Domitius' son, and he acknowledged it as his own, and on December 15, 37 AD, Nero was born. His father quipped after being congratulated about the birth of his son, "I don't think anything produced by me and Agrippina could possibly be good for the state or the people." June 10, 38 AD, her younger sister and Caligula's favorite, Drusilla, died from a fever epidemic that was in Rome at the time. The unstable Caligula went mad after her death. The following year, Agrippina, her sister Livia, along with the widower of Drusilla, Lepidus, were involved in an assassination plot of the emperor called the Plot of the Three Daggers, which would have made Lepidus the new emperor. All three were brought to trial and accused of all three of them of being lovers and adulteresses. Caligula had Lepidus executed and her younger sisters exiled. Agrippina was forced to carry Lepidus' ashes back to Rome before being sent to live in exile on the Pontine Islands after Caligula sold off her entire estate. Domitius died in 41 AD after years of hard living. His son Nero got his inheritance taken away by Caligula after his father's death. Agrippina and her sister Livia returned from exile after the death of Claudius. The new emperor, Claudius, allowed her to return to Rome, and she was reunited with her son Nero. After returning from exile and meeting with her son, Agrippina began to make her move around the city of Rome to marry a wealthy and powerful man. She found one in Licinius Crispus, a former Roman consul. The two were married, but he mysteriously died in 47 AD, leaving her his entire estate. She then began to set her sights on Emperor Claudius. Claudius at the time was married to a woman whose cunningness equally rivaled that of hers, Messalina, and she knew that Agrippina would be coming after her, but she made so many enemies herself that eventually one of them would be her undoing. Messalina had a lover named Gaius Silius, and they became really serious. He divorced his wife, and the two got married, but she was still empress and married to Claudius. Word got around that Narcissus, one of Claudius's members of his court, heard about the marriage and plot to seize power and told Claudius, who then ordered them to either commit suicide or be publicly executed. The lovers chose suicide, but Messalina couldn't kill herself, so she had a soldier stick out his sword, and she ran into it. Her lover, Silius, committed suicide rather than face a humiliating public execution. For his fourth wife, Claudius had three choices: Lolita, the third wife of Caligula, his former wife Paetina, or Agrippina, but he married Agrippina despite being his niece. The two were married in 49 AD, and she pretty much ran the Roman Empire because of Claudius's weak will and lackadaisical attitude towards being a ruler. At this point, he didn't even care anymore, and she made sure that her son Nero would become the next emperor. She even got Claudius to make him his successor over his biological son Britannicus. She was also named Augustus, the second woman in Rome to be bestowed the honor. Claudius died on October 13, 54 AD. There are many reports differing on how he died. Some say he was murdered by poison, either from eating poisonous mushrooms or a poisoned feather was used to induce vomiting from overeating. Others believe it was from an unhealthy lifestyle or just old age. He was 63 years old when he passed away. Agrippina's dream of her son becoming the emperor of Rome was finally true, as he was crowned the very same day. Agrippina tried to guide her teenage son as emperor, but a kid being a kid got tired of his mother meddling in his own personal life, like scolding him publicly for having an affair with a free woman. To keep her son in check, she began grooming his stepbrother, the 13-year-old Britannicus, as a potential ruler. Nero became suspicious and had him poisoned. For the next 4 years, mother and son will continue to have a power struggle. Nero began to slowly strip away power from his mother. He even took away her bodyguards and paid people to annoy her before sending her off to live in Naples. When Nero heard an unfounded rumor about his mother forming an assassination plot against him that involved the Roman Senate, soldiers, and his rival Plautus, he knew he had to dispose of his mother, but he had to make it look like an accident considering how popular she was. According to Roman historian Tacitus, Nero became involved with a Roman noblewoman who would mock him for being a mama's boy and convinced him he should rule Rome by himself. Nero considered poisoning or stabbing his mother, but settled on building a self-sinking boat. The boat fell apart, but Agrippina was able to swim ashore and was helped out by her admirers, who were watching her sail off earlier. Angry about its failure, Nero sent out 3 assassins to kill her. Suetonius documented that Agrippina drove Nero into murdering her. He hired people to pester, jeer, and catcall her on the street. He tried to poison her on 3 different occasions. Agrippina always took an antidote beforehand. He tried to rig her bed with a machine that would collapse the ceiling tiles on top of her while she slept, but she got wind of the plan and moved her sleeping quarters. He tried the collapsing boat, but she managed to survive that. When that failed, he hired some assassins to kill her and make it look like a suicide. But all it did was make her into a ghost and haunted him until the day he died. Cassius Dio's version details how it was Nero's lover, Poppaea, the Roman noblewoman, was the one who wanted Agrippina dead. Nero designed the collapsible boat and it fell apart, but she managed to swim ashore and was followed by an assassin sent by Nero to kill her. According to the assassin, her final words were, "Smite my womb," a one last dig at Nero. No matter how she died, all 3 stories have a collapsible boat come into play, like something Wile E. Coyote would use to kill the Roadrunner. I'm surprised Nero didn't buy it from Acme Products. Agrippina died at the age of 43. She was one of the last of the surviving members of the Judo-Claudian dynasty, which had a grasp of power in Rome since its founding by Julius Caesar. Her beauty was only matched by her ruthlessness, ambition, and domineering spirit, which she needed to survive in the male-dominated Roman society that eventually became her undoing. Nero was shaken and disturbed by her mother's death and claimed that her ghost haunted him and did everything he could to appease her spirit. He sought aid from sorcerers, soothsayers, and priests from around the globe to make sure she would go away, but she never did.